So my wife and I are sitting at a local barbecue joint called Rudy's Barbecue, and I hear we're having a debate about our next steps in our business venture, and I told her, my wife, I said, "Hey, there's people behind me. They're talking about this insurance company that I'm involved with at the time." And so my ears perk up a little bit, and then she says, "Just leave them alone. Don't." I said, "But I'm just curious. Like, I wanted to turn around and say, hey, what do you guys know about that company, right? Like, fill me in." But so I got up to use the restroom, and at that same time, David got up, and we kind of headed in the same direction to the restroom, and we're standing, taking care of business, and I'm thinking in my head, should I ask him about the insurance company right now, or should I wait? Like, maybe this is not appropriate. Standing taking care of our business. So as we were washing our hands is when I decided to ask him because it was just like eating me up, man. So um and now I know why, right? So we start having a discussion. We're washing our hands. We get them dried up, and then we walk out the restroom and we start talking in the hallway. And he tells me, what the business he's in, and starts explaining. He's like, "Come on, why don't you come have a seat with us?" And so we walk up back. I walk back over with him, and I tell my wife, "Hey, let's move tables. We're gonna sit with David and his wife Sally and a buddy of theirs, Jojo, and so we start talking, and then they start telling me about about the patches and how it helps and transforms people's lives, and it helps with the healing process, and it helps with pain. And he asked me, "Do you have pain?" I said, "Yeah, man, I have pain every day. Like, first the biggest pain I have are my bills. That I don't know, can it help with the bills?" And so, and he was like, "Yeah, it actually can." Right. So I'm kidding, of course. But I
Right.
said, "Yeah, man, I got a bad shoulder. I've had a motorcycle accident, and, I went and got checked, and while they put this dye in my shoulder, and it ran down to the pain was in my shoulder down my bicep. And when they put that dye in there, the doctor's like, well, I don't really see anything. The dye is just sitting there. He said if you had a bad ligament or something, that dye would shoot down that ligament and highlight where it's messed up. As soon as he said that, I just twisted my wrist a little bit, and the dye shot down, and I saw, like, um in the scanner, how the ligament was like a burned wire, like it was just all frayed and torn, and it's got a lot of scar tissue. So I suffer from my shoulder to down my bicep a little bit, and it runs through the middle of my back on top, so it kind of loops all the way around. And so I was telling him, yeah, man, I got that pain every day. I go to bed with it, I wake up with it, is nonstop every day. And
And
he
how long you were suffering at that point? I didn't mean to cut you off, but how
oh
long you
man, it
were suffering
was
too?
12, 15 years. Yeah, so it's been a really long time. The only way that they told me to get rid of that pain, which wasn't guaranteed, was to have surgery. And a friend of mine had the same type of surgery that I needed, and he was never the same. He was real stiff. His arm stayed real stiff, even with therapy and all that good stuff. So, and then they asked my wife, "Are you in pain?" My wife has a autoimmune condition, so she has migraines every day. And just like Stacy, my wife was, taking Motrins and Advils and all kinds of stuff daily. And I was really concerned about her stomach lining and all that, the, the stories we hear about what it does to your body. And, because I would find empty vials, everywhere, the bottles, and I needed one or two every now and then for myself, and I can't find it because they're all empty. I'm like, damn, what the hell? Save some for me. But due to her condition, so I understand. I'm very sensitive to caffeine, medicine, alcohol, things like that. I feel whenever I take a pill, I always have the side effects. I try not to feel it, but I do. So David said, "Well, why don't we patch you up?" I said, "What? What do you mean patch?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to patch you up." I said, "Okay, let's do it." So he patched me up. Within minutes, my shoulder wasn't hurting. Like, the pain was instantly gone. I would say a good 2 to 3 minutes, it was gone. My wife's migraine disappeared almost instantly after they patched her up. So I thought to myself, wow, this is pretty incredible, right? And I'm like, kind of like in a state of disbelief, but like, man, this is kind of really working. Maybe it's just a placebo effect. So he sends us home with a few patches, and we patch up the next day. We took, the instructions that he gave us, and yeah. So again, it helped.
Tell them your pain point before I patch you though, and then how quickly it went down. Like from
Yeah.
maybe
So yeah, the pain. I mean, it's immense usually. I mean, my wife thinks that I'm grumpy because of my age, because I'm because I'm getting old. But it's really because I'm in pain every day, like every day before the patches. Like I said, I wake up with it, go to bed with it. It's constant radiating, burning pain that I feel in my shoulder and through my back and my bicep. And but when David put the patch on right here in the back of my neck, and then he put one on my shoulder area, right at the top, right up here, put two patches on there.
What
I
kind?
mean, within probably 2 minutes, I would say that radiating burning feeling was gone. The pain, like I was able to actually lift my shoulder that day without feeling a burning sensation or a stinging pain that I usually get. I mean, it was really instant. And I'm not trying to, over glorify this or try and make you, believe in the snake oil kind of thing, but there was no other explanation. It wasn't the brisket. It wasn't the fries that I had with the brisket. This was literally the patch. There was no other
What
anything that I
patches?
did different.
What patches did you have?
So David gave me the X39, put the
Okay.
E on, and then it was I think
ice
it was
wave.
the Ice Wave,
Yep,
Okay.
the
it was
Ice
ice
Wave.
wave.
And then he did the same for my wife. So my wife, her autoimmune condition, instantly took care of her pain as well because she's in immense pain as well every day. Of course, I don't tell her, well, it's probably your age because I want to live, right? I want to stay alive. I don't want to be
Smart
unalive.
man. Smart man.
So, so she felt it immediately, and she was bought into it faster than I was because I'm a little skeptical of things, but so when we came home is when I really knew that this was working because the next morning I'm a side sleeper like Stacy. I sleep on my side, and I know that aggravates a lot of the same um, side that I have the problems with. I can't help it, right? I have to sleep that way, and but the next day and the couple days after was gone. Like it was like it was like kind of I was like in a state of shock, like man, this is really working. Like, I think we need to do something with this. And I told my wife, how do you feel? And she was like, yeah, my headaches are gone. She goes, oh my God, I didn't even realize that I didn't even take any Motrin the past couple of days. I hadn't even looked for it. She goes,
Wow.
and it was, man, I'm telling you, as soon as she wake up, oh my God, my head hurts. I woke up with a headache. And then there's the bottles, she's rattling them off and taking her Motrin and just to start her day so that she can get her day going, right?
So,
To reduce the pain.
excuse me. So, just to be clear, we have two one patch wonders, a husband and a wife,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
One set of patches, your pain's gone. One set of patches, her. I don't know if that I've ever heard a live podcast where both people were one patch wonders. Now, Stacy and his wife were a
Yep.
couple of weeks. My
Yep.
wife was a one patch wonder. 4 hours later, hip pain
Yep.
gone.
Yeah.
But to have you two in the condition you were in one day, and then the next day you're like new people, that's pretty. I've never had. I haven't seen a podcast with two one patch wonders. So,
Oh,
David, just want you
it
to know
gets,
that, my friend.
thank you. I appreciate that. And it gets better
Yeah,
than that. So,
yeah.
so now that I'm a believer, right? So after maybe 3 or 4 days, I call my mom. My mom, she's disabled. My mom has neurofibromatosis. She has she had a herniated several discs that they replaced and kind of botched her in a way. She's in immense pain all the time. My mom cannot sit. She cannot stand. She cannot lie down. She is in constant pain. She's on a lot of pain meds. To this day, she's still struggling with it, but she cannot sit at the dinner table for more than 5 minutes to have dinner with my dad. So she'll try and eat as fast as she could within those 5 minutes and has to get up and go lie down again. So I call my mom. I say, hey, mom, I think I have something that can help you. right? Ease just to ease some of the pain that you're in. She was like, "What? For real?" I said, "Yeah." So we ordered, got her some patches ordered, sent them to her, walked her through it over the phone, and the next day, this is no joke. The next day, my mother was able to sit for 45 minutes and enjoy dinner with my father. And that is a true story. My
Oh,
father is hardcore and he don't believe in much. He's always like if you're rooting for a certain football team, he's rooting for the opposite, just to antagonize you. So my father's like that. He's very critical about stuff.
Oh gosh,
He has
40.
trigger finger,
Uh-huh.
and he's been dealing with it for probably about a good 3 or 4 years now, and cannot get relief. He cannot find a doctor that can really actually help him with it. So I had told my mom, "Hey, tell Dad to put it, put a couple patches on just to see, like see if it helps." And I'm like with a drum roll, right? I'm waiting. So the next day I call my mom and say, "Hey mom, what's going on? How you feeling?" She goes, "Oh my God, you're not gonna believe this. I literally was able to sit down at the dinner table for 45 minutes before I realized, like, oh my God, I'm sitting here for 45 minutes. What in the world?" Like I finished my meal with your dad, and we talked and we had a good time, and I went back to go lie down because the pain was coming back. You're talking about a day or two later. So my dad did not want to admit it, but he finally did, that the pain in his trigger finger was gone. He didn't
One
want to
day,
admit it,
one
but it
day,
was
one day.
gone.
Was it one day?
I think it was 2 days for
2
him.
days.
2 days.
Oh
Within
my
two
goodness.
days.
Yeah, two
Wow.
days.
Yep.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. So, when I tell you that, I was skeptical at first, I really was. But then as I felt it in my shoulder that dealt with for 15 plus years, for a very long time actually, and that was gone immediately.
Oh,
That radiating pain was gone. That, waking up in the morning without pain was, yeah, man, that was just incredible. But most important to me was my wife,
yeah.
seeing that she struggles with her condition and all that, and this has totally changed her life. And the other thing is, I know it's kind of embarrassing for her, but she will talk about it. But her menstrual cycle, after she got her second round of the COVID vaccine, it totally changed her menstrual cycle. My wife's very tiny. She's probably 100 pounds. She's she says she's 4'11", but she's 4'9" or 10. So
Wow.
she tries to get herself that little extra inch. Very tiny, but her flow is always light and stuff like that. After the vaccine, she would like have accidents. It was very heavy. It wasn't regular. It really messed her up over the past couple years. Within a month, her cycle was returned back to normal, like the way it was before.
Wow.
So that was unbelievable. And I mean, I have to like, you know, talk her through sometimes, like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. And oh my God, it's so heavy. Oh my God, I feel terrible, and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I feel really bad for her. And she knows, that kind of messed her up after she got the vaccine. And if you do some research on it, you'll see that it's true that it's affected a lot of women that way. But now that she's been on the patch, uh, her patches have really it changed her. It put it back to normal, and
Wow.
and she's loving it. That she's not having accidents, and not, her cycle would last 2 to 3 days normally before the vaccine. Now, like after she had the vaccine, it would go on for like 7 to 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks, and which was totally abnormal for her. Wasn't right. And she's been like that since 20, when did she get vaccinated? 2021-ish, end of 2020, going into 21. She's been like that for the past all these years. So now that she's on it, she's back to